Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we conclude our study of the book of Obadiah, the shortest book in the Old Testament. And we are going to be looking at verses 15 through 21. Yesterday, when we were together last time, maybe I should say, the prophet Obadiah described the vision that he had from the Lord, in which God sent out his ambassador to rally a coalition of nations to utterly destroy the Edomites because of the way they treated the Jews, particularly when the Babylonians came to destroy the city of Jerusalem. And they did everything God told them they could not do in verses 10 through 14, and they are going to be utterly destroyed. Today, in verses 15 through 21, God is going to talk about the judgment that all nations will face and then describe the restoration of his people and the eternal kingdom that his people will enjoy on the day of the Lord. So let's read verses 15 through 21, then we'll talk about it for just a moment. For the day of the Lord draws near on all the nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your dealings will return on your own head, because just as you drank on my holy mountain, all the nations will drink continually. They will drink and swallow and become as if they had never existed. But on Mount Zion there will be those who escape, and it will be holy. And the house of Jacob will possess their possessions. Then the house of Jacob will be a fire, the house of Joseph a flame. The house of Esau will be a stubble, and they will set them on fire and consume them, so that there will be no survivor of the house of Esau, for the Lord has spoken. Then those of the Negev will possess the mountain of Esau, those of Shephelah, the Philistine plain. And they also will possess the territory of Ephraim and the territory of Samaria. And Benjamin will possess Gilead, and the exiles of this host of the sons of Israel who are among the Canaanites as far as Zarephath, and the exiles of Jerusalem who are in Sepharad, will possess the cities of the Negev. The deliverers will ascend to Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esau, and the Lord's kingdom, and the kingdom will be the Lord's. So this is a prediction of full restoration. That's clear. It's hard to identify all the places that are being mentioned, but most of them are easily identifiable, and it's clear what he's saying. He's saying the borders of my people will be fully restored, from Lebanon to the Sinai, from the Transjordan to the Mediterranean Sea. Now, all the area that he is talking about, that has never, ever been restored to Jewish control, not even to this day. And therefore, he must be talking about spiritual Israel, and talking about the full restoration of all peoples who belong to it, that God is going to keep all the promises that he has made unconditionally to his people, whether they be the Jews or those who, through the house of Jacob, through the line of David, become God's very children as well. So to me, it can't be anything else but that him looking forward to the Messianic age and then his eternal reign when we get to experience heaven with him. But it begins with verses 15 and 16, and we need to think about these two verses because they really contain the meat of the book that we need to take with us. Obadiah is one of those books that is not quoted in the New Testament. There are only 7 Old Testament books that fit that category, and this is one of them. But we can look at verse 15, and we can hear references of New Testament passages. Jesus in Matthew chapter 7, verse 2. Paul in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7. Whatever you have done, whatever you sow, that you're going to reap. That's there. That's the message of verse 15. All nations are going to be held accountable to the same standard God is applying to the Philistines. All nations will eventually meet their demise for their own sins. I don't know what verse 16 means about drinking and swallowing, but I don't know what specifically it means, but I know generally what it means. And what it means is this, what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 7, verse 2, what Paul says in Galatians chapter 6, verse 7, that if we judge, the measure that we mete out will be measured to us again. That if we sow corruption, we will reap corruption. God will not be mocked. Whatever a man sows, that will he also reap. And whatever a nation sows, that nation will also reap as well. And all nations will be held accountable to this standard by God. Okay. This is a prophecy towards the Edomites, and yet it is a lesson for all nations, as he makes clear in verse 15. And God's victory is going to be complete, and God's restoration of his people, his keeping of his promises to his people, that's going to be absolute as well. And we get that message here in the book of Obadiah. Okay, next time we're together, we're going to begin our study of the prophet Jonah, which is a singular book in all the Bible. There's no other book like it. It is a singularity. It is a unicorn in the garden. It is its own entity in the biblical text, and I look forward to us talking about it when we get together next time. Thank you for joining me for 5 good minutes.